Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Shake Sales. Today I'm excited. We got Leng here. We're going to talk, who's a seasoned sales professional. He's going to break down coaching your SDRs, really pinpointing that one topic. Leng, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Sujan. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So before we jump in, why don't you spend a minute just introducing yourself and and then your experience, I guess, like why coaching SDRs matters.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Leng. I've been in the sales game for 23 years now. And I think, one of the most interesting things about coaching and also SDRs is SDRs are very junior level individuals, right? So they come into the game not really knowing what's going on, what's happening. And I think it's very important for them to not only feel nurtured, number one, but also, they have big aspirations of how they want to actually grow. So I think, the biggest pieces as sales leaders, sometimes we're always stuck behind the canvas of looking at the stats, looking at the numbers, trying to help produce what the pipeline is. And SDRs, they want that coaching, right? They want to move up, they want to level up.
Cool, man. And so what's okay? So I've implemented coaching and mentoring for SDRs, and my personal opinion is the failure point is very early on. It's like, okay, they got a bunch of information, they do nothing with it, right? Uh, how do you get past that point, right? So they're bought in, but they don't know how to take action on that.
Yeah, that's I wouldn't say that's a piece that everybody runs into, right? Regardless of who you actually are. And the interesting thing about SDRs is like you can easily get anybody bought in, but if you can't actually roll up your sleeves and actually show them how you can win, how you can actually fail, and actually give a little bit of that interaction and teach them and show them the actual way, they're not going to be bought in all the way, right? It's easy to sell that dream, but it's harder to actually take the action. And the thing about it, it's like exercise, right? You have to do the repetition with it. You have to show them the grinding of prospecting, of the actual cold calling, because let's face it, right? SDRs are probably not used to rejection. So when they hear rejection, when they hear people say no, it hurts your ego. And for different people that have been in sales for a while, we're used to the rejections, we're used to the no's, we know how to overcome the actual objections. But a lot of it is it's really handholding them and also making them understand that, listen, it's okay if somebody tells you no, but also it's good to give them feedback so they also understand that this no will turn into a yes, or here's how you evolve, and here's how you overcome this particular objection, or here's the process that you need to follow so you can actually make a little bit more of a headway rather than just kind of feeling a little bit more deflated after the initial excitement and the sizzle.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the rejection is like a callus that you build over
Yeah.
time, right? It's like, oh, look, it's not personal. They're not rejecting me. They're just rejecting the concept of what I'm pitching.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's an interesting point though, right? Because like I think especially a lot of SDRs, we take it personal, right? We take it as like, hey, I'm cool, I'm revved up, I'm ready to go. I've been sold this great great piece of a business, and I'm ready to sell it. And then when people start saying no, what happens is our ego starts getting in the way, and we do take that rejection very personal. But the callous piece that you talked about, it's like working out, right? You have to get at it. You have to keep going, going, going. And before you know it, you get those repetitions in and you'll be a rock star.
cool. Um, like in terms of time spent on coaching and kind of resources or budget, like let's start with time. How much time would you recommend allocating for coaching? Percentage of time or like hours or whatever, however you define it.
I think for, percentage of time, it should be, the way that I always look at it, it should be limitless, right? And what I mean by that is, how you produce the best results is speaking with your actual reps, give them the feedback, and give them that right coaching. And there's a big difference between the coaching and the training, right? Training could be on product knowledge, right? But coaching is really their time. It's also their time to kind of be vulnerable with you be vulnerable with them, for you to kind of show them the way, and also to review different calls, or to review your email outreach, or to also to review processes that they actually have, so they can you know go from step to step to actually improve. The way that I always look at it is, I'm always open and available for coaching, but I always make it an effort to have that right cadence in place, that, every single week at this time, we're going to do coaching, because that also follows suits specifically to the same thing that they have to do, right? They have to make X number of dials, they have to do X number of email outreach, they have to, prospect X number of actual people. And it's part of that muscle memory, right? Once they get to that muscle memory piece, and you have to make the coaching exciting. So, when it comes down to that weekly coaching, it becomes something that they look forward to, rather than something that they run away from.
Nice. That makes sense. Cool. Um, what when it comes to coaching, who's actually doing the coaching? Is this you as the head of sales? Is this outside? How do you handle that? Is it peers?
Sure. It's a mixture of all of it, right? I love to do individual coaching. I think it's very important to also do group coaching, right? Whether if it's group coaching on a particular subject, or group coaching, or just listening to calls, and everybody is listening to one random particular call. And then from that point on, after the call is done, then we give our critique. And our critique is generally, what I've found very successful is, it's broken down to something very simple: three things that they took away from the actual call, right? And it comes out of the call, it's like, listen, there's no BS of it. We're not going to point fingers or anything like that. Here's what I heard. These are my three takeaways, right? And what I find out is, two things happen. Number one is, people start building a little bit of that continuity as an actual team. They look forward to it. And they also look at it in a sense like, hey, I can learn from other individuals. When it's one-on-one coaching, it's a little bit more personable, right? And it's more personal in a sense where it's also like, I'm also running the session in the sense of, I'm the salesperson, right? I'm asking that individual questions, of, how they're feeling, what they think their results are, what they think they want to achieve, right? Where do
Mhm.
they want to actually go, and trying to really understand and take it in from them, so I can actually help give them the right guidance, and give them the right coaching that fits specifically for that individual.
Nice. And going back to taking action on the coaching, um, what's kind of a realistic timeline for those listening, or if you're an SDR or a sales leader, what is, from your experience, a realistic timeline on when someone gets the feedback and actually implements it?
I think that's a very good question, and it really comes down to the level of coaching that you do, right? Some of my expectations that I normally tell a lot of my reps outside of an actual coaching is, it's, let's make a target and let's make a goal, right? If we do a coaching on a Monday, and we do our other coaching on a Monday, let's try to review it, and to see exactly if the results are there, or to see how you actually implemented it. The faster that you take action from it, the easier that it's going to sound, and it's going to sound less, uneasy, unnatural. So I really want for them to kind of really jump in right away. And generally, like just like when you play golf, right? When you play golf and you switch up your swing, it's going to feel awkward. And the same thing with coaching. If I'm going to give an SDR, guidance of like, you should try to say this, right? You do really good at these type of actual discovery questions, but what if you introduce these type of open-ended discovery questions instead, right? And I want to hear it on the actual calls. And part of it is the expectations. Let's listen to it on our next call to see if A, was it implemented? If it was implemented, B, what was the reaction? And C, how do they feel? And how do they see the result from that afterwards?
Love it, love it. Yeah, because so really that follow up loop really is really important, because you're actually asking them that question to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, it's like, reps are just like a prospect too, right? They want that feedback. Reps want that actual coaching. Sometimes they don't know what they need to be coached at, but they're eager, they're hungry, and part of it is, if you really just kind of really hold their hand with it, give them good feedback, whether if it's constructive feedback as well. And also, the biggest piece is hold that accountability, right? To the part of the coaching. It's like, here's what we coached on. How did it, was it actually executed, and if it wasn't executed, why wasn't it executed off of that, and to really get to the understanding of, did you feel uncomfortable? Did you not feel uncomfortable? Should we take a different route? And really get them to open up to you so they trust you in that sense. Because when it worked, it's awesome, right? It goes back to what we talked about earlier, where, they will take action right away. When it doesn't work, then we have to recalibrate and we have to figure out, okay, why is it not working?
That makes sense. Cool. Anything else you want to mention around SDR coaching that I didn't ask?
Listen, I think the overall is like, I was at recently at at a sales leadership event, and one of the stats that they blew out was, over 80% of the SDRs that they actually interviewed, and it was about like, or they surveyed, it was like over 1,000 SDRs. Over 80% of them said they wanted coaching, right? They wanted more coaching, and it goes down to communication. You can never over communicate, and you can never over coach. It just normally, it's like a sales process, making sure that you have that actual right process in place where it just becomes that muscle memory.
Love it. Love it. I think that's a great thing is you got to build momentum, keep it going. And then eventually it's like, this is just part of my day to day, right? This is not something new or anything like that. It's like, getting feedback. And one of the things I always get, at least our customers, our email list, ask us like, how much should I spend? Is it worth it? I don't see the ROI. I'm like, do you want your team not to get better?
Of
Right? Like,
course.
do you not want to get better? So it's like, I don't look at it as a spend. I just look at it as like, you spend all this money on building the team, spend a little bit more and get them to be top notch, right? And oftentimes I'm sure you face this is like, what you think the strategy is going to be 3 months later is completely different. And what actually works is different. And so that the timeline, like between the start, the idea to success, coaching can shorten that time frame.
Yeah, listen, it's a very powerful tool, and just kind of similar to what you said is, coaching is all about progression, right? We all want to progress. SDRs want to progress into AEs. AEs want to progress maybe into management levels, but we all want to progress, and especially in the name of game of sales, we want to progress because we want to be successful, right? So it's very important that we continue to kind of move forward rather than reflecting backwards. And that's the beauty about coaching. It's like, how do we move forward by really understanding the problems that we have and coming up with that right solution.
Love it. Leng, well, thank you so much for your time. Where can people kind of go follow along your journey?
Yeah, listen, you can find me on LinkedIn, Leng.Vang, and, give me a connection. Obviously, I'll put some content out there. I'll have a newsletter that coming out with, just, different types of coaching, different sales tips and strategies, and, just stories from, being involved in sales for, 23 years in many different verticals.
Sounds great. Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you for your time.